Hey everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Adventures in Fast Food and Retail. First up, retail sucks because people can't follow the rules, by SuperCaliWatt. I'm training at a bookstore right now, and my god, the people there are nice but a bit full of themselves. Our higher-ups are always telling us, the new people, that there is a system, but actually there is not. For example, earlier this week they were training us how to shelve books, and we were told to look up where it goes, but the system does not tell you exactly where a book goes. It will give you like 3 locations, and apparently you have to decide from that where a book belongs. It doesn't have an actual location, which is so stupid. We had a customer acknowledge today, "Why aren't the books alphabetical?" Which I loved because it was said to the person who had, dare I say, the biggest head about how things are done, when in reality there is barely even a system. They just shelve things based on where they feel like it goes, and then make you feel stupid if you can't find the right location, because there is no right location. So fortunately, my co-workers and I get along pretty well, so I think we might try to do things the right way instead of BSing our jobs and making it impossible to find things, because gosh, imagine spending years writing a book, only to have it shelved in the wrong effing location, especially as a new author. And man, these people could probably get in a lot of trouble for not following a system, because all it would take is one person from the company to come down, check on the store, check the shelves, and realize, hey, this doesn't make sense, what the heck? And then suddenly those people are in trouble. And that might as well happen because we did have someone higher up show up today. And they were in there for a heck of a long time, so we'll see. But this is the most common thing I've seen in retail, and that's exactly why the people in retail work in retail for years. They have a big ego, don't do things right, and don't even leave to find something better. Everyone that worked at this store has worked there for years, which I thought was an accomplishment until they didn't know some basic things, and then I was like, oh, I see why you're still here. I also hate how they act like you're supposed to be this social butterfly, helping every single customer. Like, I know for a fact that no bookstore does that, where nobody is out 24/7 of their shift asking people if they need help. Hellfreezer's note, as someone who does shop and worked in retail themselves, that's just gonna drive customers away if you're doing that. I've been to too many of them where I know they maybe ask occasionally, but they let people browse, which people like to do. And get this, as soon as my shift is over and I spend several minutes reading a book, I go to the middle of the floor to see nobody there. No one is talking to a customer about a good book, no one is visiting. Everyone apparently is not too concerned about the customers, so I guess it's not a big deal. Like, I was getting so annoyed the amount of times I was asked by the higher-ups, like, okay, do you know where that goes? Have you talked to anyone in the last 5 minutes? And I usually had, but most often the people did not need help, and if I did help them, the book was not available in the store. Happened twice today. And I'm like, 4 days in, guys, I'm brand new to this. Like, you'd think they realize that. I am not this walking encyclopedia of book knowledge, and I'm not going to pretend that I am, so I wish they realized that, because we are new. We just learned how to shelve books yesterday, and it took us 3 days to get to that point for some freaking reason. It's just a stupid system, and I want it to be fixed. Okay, and that brings us up to I'm going to lose it if one more customer complains about self-checkout by Realistic Read 7779. So I work at a store that does a moderate amount of business. When I started in August of 2024, there were 3 self-checkouts and 1 register. Right after training, we hit the busy holiday season, and it was round-the-clock customers. Sometimes we had a line of 30 or more people. Most people felt fine using self-checkout when the line was that long because they did not want to wait. I love self-checkout, although I had to learn to love it. We had one or more people helping with our self-checkouts during the holidays, so the register could keep being constantly in use without having to stop to fix issues with self-checkout. Every day since February, a lot of people complain about it. It's a daily thing and it is frustrating. They act like I personally put the self-checkouts there. It does not occur to them that it is a corporate decision, not one employee's decision. If I can just interject a little there, it's not fair, it's wrong that they do it, and quite frankly, it's very stupid that they do it, but they don't see you as a person. They see you as a representative of the company, so when they're talking to you, they're not talking to a human being. They feel incorrectly that they're talking to the company. Oh, what are these? You want me to check myself out? I'm not doing that.
Am I on the payroll now?
Oh yeah, they love that one. I don't trust these machines. It's a variation of the machine that the people at the man checkouts are using. I refuse to use these. They take jobs away. Okay, the OP is going to explain it. I almost explained it myself, but no, it's not true. By the way, this is completely false. We are not busy enough February to August to have more than one cashier. A lot of people use the self-checkout, and that would not be available if we had 4 registers and 1 cashier. I will only use the main register. Let me adjust my crown. My job now wants us to help guests use self-checkout and not be behind the register, if there is more than one person, so that way we can help all the self-checkout people more quickly as we are closer. It is mostly old people, but still. They have cell phones. They use the tap feature on their cards, but they don't understand that businesses are not going to hire 4 cashiers when it is slow. Also the fact that, oftentimes the staff that is on is expected to do multiple things. So having the self-checkouts, in some cases, does make it easier on the staff that's there. I also know that businesses are hurting because people buy things online, and most of us only work part-time, only getting about 15 to 20 hours a week. I try not to let it get to me, but day after day it gets annoying. I can't change it, and they can't either, but it's like they blame me for it, talking to me rudely and being disagreeable. If your store has self-checkout, is everyone getting these comments? Interesting note. Self-checkout's definitely not going anywhere. I was in my local Morrison's the other day, and they've had self-checkout for years. Honestly, I've lost track how long. It's at least 10 years they've had them. And I hated them initially. Actually, no, when I think about it now, it's probably longer than 10 years. Because I used to remember when I'd go into Morrison's on my day off, because I used to work retail, I'd rebel at the notion of having to use self-checkout because it was my day off. It was the last thing I wanted to do was scan things through a till on my day off. So that's why I wouldn't use them. But when I started, working from home and started being self-employed, I came to love the self-checkout because I don't really have to interact with people that much. The only time I do is which is most times, I've bought something caffeinated, or like medication or something, and they just come over, they put a little code in, and that's it, and then they go away. Minimal interaction, I say thank you very much, then they go away. And I've come to prefer them. So what I've noticed is my local Morrison's has had theirs so long that they've replaced them for seemingly better ones. I don't think the beep's loud enough on them, but I did notice that they'd replaced the old ones with newer ones. So they're not going anywhere, they're just going to get better. Okay, next up, frustration with unpaid overtime and immature higher-ups. I work at a small retail store in Queensland, and I'm new to this kind of job. I think it's Queensland is QLD. My past ones have been more so in sales and factory settings. There are 2 shifts each day, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm usually on the floor by 6:55 a.m. for my 7 a.m. start. I'd like to say it is winter and my boss is happy I'm taking these shifts due to my coworkers not wanting to work in the cold weather. Aside from a quick good morning, I get straight to work with no complaints or dawdling around. Today, though, I was told I need to come in even earlier, unpaid, just to get things ready. Nope, if you're not getting paid for it, don't work. Those jobs include laying down mats and moving plants outside, even though I almost never see customers arrive right at opening. At the end of my shift, I can't even leave until someone comes to switch over with me. Some co-workers show up on time, but others leave me waiting behind the counter another 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes my manager just gets me to leave by that point, but also complains a bit about how they should be clocking off too. Yeah, probably, but you chose to be a manager, so... On night shifts... Sorry, I've had enough bad managers that I have no sympathy for them. On night shifts, I finish at 7 p.m., but I often don't leave until 7:15 because I'm still cleaning or restocking. Sometimes I'm told to do extra jobs after my shift is technically over. I really don't mind doing my job, I actually hate standing around doing nothing, but I can't always finish everything because I need to wait for my supervisor to bring me supplies or keys, and I'm usually alone on the floor. I honestly wouldn't be too annoyed if my boss and manager weren't so rude and immature. I do much more than my coworkers during my shift. I was shocked by how much they stand around, and yet I don't get paid for the extra time or receive any recognition at all. You need to stop doing more than your coworkers because your employers are going to come to expect it. Therefore, instead of getting congratulated and thanked for the extra work, the occasions you might not do it because you're not feeling it that day, you're going to get it in the neck, and your coworkers will be allowed to continue to slack off. Do exactly what you're being paid for, and as much as your coworkers get away with. I know it's only 15 to 20 minutes every so often, but legally, I don't feel that's okay. Normal? Sure. Right? Definitely not. What's everyone's experience with this in retail? My supervisor has said that she's left at 7:30 a few times. I'm fine with showing up 5 minutes early, but they're pushing my patience. Focusing on my higher-ups, my supervisors aren't too bad, but my managers and boss can be shockingly immature, especially for their age. There's a huge lack of training. Aside from basic tasks, I get little guidance and often contradictory instructions. For example, I was told to check fruit and vegetables in the morning and remove bad items. I gave some produce to my manager who took it, but when I tried to give her a slightly squishy lemon, she told me to put it back. The next day, when I pointed out the lemon as it had gotten worse, my boss said, "Right, thanks, okay, well, no offense, but this is usually a job for seniors," in a rude tone. When I said I was following supervisor's instructions, she said, "Oh, well, that's a whole other story." Another time, when I mentioned the drink fridge was out of Coke, she went on a rant. All right, I'm doing it, geez, doing everything, I'm so stressed. Go on, go, don't worry, I'll just do it all." She also complained loudly about eggs not being straightened after I had done that, which hurt my confidence and, due to her behavior, made me hesitant to ask questions and take initiative in produce. My manager once got mad at me for switching tills mid-shift without being asked. Supervisors usually remind me to switch tills, but it's more of a casual don't forget than a strict order. I did it out of habit, but she publicly scolded me in front of customers by calling it a big no-no, acting like I was a child. After they left, I broke down crying. It was humiliating, but I had to keep serving. I've also been asked to retrieve items from high shelves using a small stepladder, even though I was originally told 2 people were needed for safety. I received no training on safety, and because I have a physical condition affecting my balance, I have nearly fallen a few times. Standing for long periods also causes my leg pain, also due to my condition, but there's nowhere to sit except during my 15-minute break, so I sometimes have to sit on the floor while stalking for relief. I don't really feel comfortable mentioning this to management, for fear of rude treatment or losing my job. How do you handle this kind of situation? I hear stories like this a lot, which really reflects on the state of workplaces. Well, I would add here, if you do have a medical condition that affects your balance, you need to get a note from your doctor, bring it in for your bosses, stating you need some kind of accommodation or allowance for that, stating that they won't force you to do things that's going to aggravate that condition. That's really all you can do in that regard. And next up is Stolen Handicap Scooter and More, The Good Customers and the Bad, by Creative Career 1377. So as the title states, we had our motorized handicap scooter taken tonight. I've been back from vacation for 2 days. Yesterday we had a lady run out with almost $1,000 of Stanley and Yeti bags. Luckily a customer followed the vehicle and was able to get the license plate, make and model of the car and where it stopped at. So, to make a long story short, she was busted for grand theft and our products were returned to us, abnormal for us to even get an apprehension. Then tonight, I'm closing manager. There's a guy that bought a $200 bike at 8:30. We close at 9. He proceeds to sit up front, complaining our Wi-Fi wasn't good enough to order a taxi or Lyft. Use the data on your phone then, bro. So he wants me to do it. I'm like, sir, it's against policy for anyone else to use my personal phone with your card to order you a Lyft or Uber. I can let you use our phone to call a taxi. I will give you the number. Of course, it's not good enough. It's going to be $60 for me to get home. Like it's my problem to begin with. Well, unpack your bike and ride that home. It's now 9 o'clock, and I want to get my team out of the building, so I tell him he needs to sit out front and wait for his taxi. He says, I can't wait to review this place and call your CEO in the morning. Like, okay, guy, I need you to leave. I'm not leaving. Someone needs to help me load this bike. I say, well, I'm the only person that's going to be left, so when your taxi gets here, I will stop what I'm doing to help you. Well, that guy said he would help me. Yeah, he would have an hour ago, but here we are. I just want him out of my store, so I'm saying whatever just to get him to leave. I open the door to let the teammates out and tell him it's time to go. He huffs and puffs, turns on our medical scooter, and proceeds toward the door on it. I stand in front of the door so he can leave on it, and I tell him to get. He ignores me, tries to run over me. I say, sir, you can't take that scooter outside of the store. We have a no-contact policy, and I'm just dumbfounded and don't even know what to do. He ignores me again. I threw his bike out the front door, which I shouldn't have given him until he got off the scooter, but it's now 9:30 and I still haven't counted the tills. All my teammates are basically wasting payroll. He puts the bike in the basket of the ride-on scooter, and just drives it off a foot-tall beam of the sidewalk and starts going down the road. He of course blew the taxi off that I helped him call, so now he's just sitting out front with no phone number to contact him. I just learned such a hard lesson. Every single time you try to help these people, they just turn around and screw you. And I'm sure he's sitting at home right now and it's everyone else it's a problem. It's become such a me industry, and I don't know if I can do it anymore. I know I made mistakes tonight, but god damn it, I'm just sick of people. I could cry. Same. People need to people less. Okay, next up and lastly for this video, Stop Calling Us, It's 30 Days by SP999. So this happened months ago, but I'm still mad about it, so I want to rant. I'd been at my previous job for about a month before we had this absolute Karen of a customer come in. I was 22, female, was alone. Why do these a-holes insist on coming when I'm alone? And Karen, late 40s, early 50s maybe, as we'll call her, came into the store complaining that the receptor for her cameras wasn't working. Since we don't have any technicians, I had to send it to our repair team, and that can take up to 30 business days. She didn't like how long that would take, and started complaining, saying it was outrageous she had to wait that long. I explained to her that we had to send the device to our repair team, which is at the other end of the country, and that's why it took so long. She was mad, but agreed to it. 30 days for a repair is also the legal limit, so unless it takes longer, complaining isn't going to do anything. Like I mentioned before, it can take up to 30 days for items to be repaired, but instead of waiting like a normal person, she decided that she would call her customer support line. Every single bloody day. I would tell her that no, it wasn't ready, but that she could rest easy that when it came back from repair we would give her a call. Now imagine having this convo every day, multiple times a day, for 2 weeks. Now, for some important context, the customer support line doesn't exist. It's the store phone that we employees use to communicate with other store locations and call customers to give info about purchases and repairs. So it's very likely that the person she's rude to in store is going to be the one picking up the phone. It got to the point that I already knew her phone number by heart, and every time I saw her number, I would mute the phone because I knew we were going to have the same convo, and she would get ruder with each call we had. Seeing that we weren't picking up the phone, Karen decided to send over 45 texts to the store's WhatsApp. I'm talking about 45 texts in less than 10 minutes. I decided not to read or answer those messages, especially because I had customers in the store that I had to attend to. When I did go to answer the texts, I saw that about 95% of them were just her complaining about the wait and asking how much longer she was gonna have to wait. And as I'm about to write an answer, Karen walks into the store asking if there was something wrong with our phone because she had called multiple times and nobody answered. She called 15 times that day, by the way. I told her that if there's no answer, it's most likely because customer support is either very busy or on their lunch break. We never tell customers that the number they're calling is the store phone, because we had incidents where customers would sit on the bench outside the store, call it to see if we would pick up or not, and record the entire thing. If we don't answer, even with an empty store, it's because we're dealing with other issues like repairs, exchanges, stock issues, etc. I told her the same thing I always told her during our phone calls. It's not ready, but when it is, we will call you. Don't worry. She then started complaining about how she desperately needed it, as she was living alone, and it was a security issue. I don't think she needs to worry about that. I understood that concern, and it's very valid, but things like that happen sometimes. The best thing to do is either buy a professional security system, or cameras that don't need receptors. 3 or 4 days later, we get an email from the repair team saying that there was no fix, and they were sending a new one to replace it. I called her and told her what was said to us in the email, and she agreed to receiving a new device. She was still calling the store every day, and when we didn't pick up, she would call the repair center. To this day, I still don't know how she found the number, since it's a private repair place, and only management has the contact info, but whatever. On the same day we got that email, she came into the store yet again. But this time, it was because her app that she uses to get the footage from the cameras had logged her out, and she couldn't log back in. That was a bug that affected multiple customers. She was not the first, so I tried to help her. I asked if she remembered what email she used to make the account, to which she said she didn't understand any of that stuff, and her brother was the one who set up the account for her, so I asked if she could contact her brother to get the account info. She said no. I asked again, second time, important later, if she was 100% sure she didn't know or remember the email used. She yet again said no. I told her that the only options were to either contact her brother to get the login information, or to check her emails to see which one was used to create the account. Otherwise, she would have to make a new one and reset all her devices so they work on the new account. She told me to create the new account, and I asked her if she was sure that she didn't want to check which email was used, and she said no. I created her new account using her Gmail account with no issue. Explained to her that she needed to reset all of her devices and reconnect them to the new account, and explained where the buttons were for the reset, as well as the connection buttons, so it would be easier for her. She bought a new camera that didn't need a receptor that same day. The day after that, she came back into the store to complain that nothing was reconnecting to her phone, and that the error message was that they were already connected to another device. Thankfully for me, I was attending to a customer with my manager, who had been made aware of her entire behavior and attitude. Was the one who went to help her. She had been rude on every interaction we had, including the first one. He explained again how to reset her devices and reconnect them as well, but in an easier way to understand. However, she was talking over him with complaints about the wait, service, not picking up the phone, etc., which made what was supposed to be a 5-minute explanation a 20-minute one. She would not let him speak at all. While he was helping her, the replacement receptor arrived, so we gave it to her, and my manager explained what buttons to press so that the receptor would connect to her cameras. She assured us she understood his instructions, and left. Some important info is that when she saw the new receptor, she immediately started accusing us of giving her an already used one, and that it couldn't possibly be new since it didn't have a box and it showed clear marks of use, and etc. No item used as a replacement has ever been used before. There are items that were recalled to the warehouse after being discontinued. We told her this, but instead of listening to us, she was busy yelling at us, saying that we were trying to deceive her. My manager is a very patient man, but his patience isn't eternal. While she was complaining, he told her, "Listen, Karen, if you don't let me speak, I have no way of helping you, and if you keep being rude, I will refuse to as well." She calmed down and let him explain what I said above about the replacement items. She said okay, took her device and left. The following day, we received about 20 messages on our WhatsApp about how the camera she bought, the one without a receptor, had bugged images and wasn't working. Well, she sent photos, and I took a look at them. And yeah, the images were buggy, and it was clear that it was due to poor connection. However, the camera issue wasn't the only thing she was complaining about. She was also insulting me, claiming that I had deleted her account because you can't create 2 accounts with the same email. More on that later. Saying that I was rude to her. I wasn't. I'm never rude unless people are being extremely disrespectful, and even then I prefer to be polite, so I don't get a headache. Saying that we lied to her because the receptor was clearly used and not new. As she said, it wasn't even in a box. I was born yesterday. I know it's not new. Obviously, I wasn't about to let her lie like that, even if the only people that were going to see those texts were me, my manager, and co-workers. So I decided to reply, pretending it wasn't me, and following is a summary of the convo we had. I'm referencing a screenshot I sent my manager at the time, and the only reason I'm not just posting it is because it's not in English, and there were some private and sensitive info about Karen included. How are you thinking about resolving the issue? The receptor is obviously used and wasn't even tested before being given to me. I couldn't connect the camera because it was connected to another account that, instead of being recuperated, was deleted thanks to your employee. Since she apparently doesn't know that you can't use the same email on 2 accounts. Hello, Miss Karen, about your account. You had told our worker that it was a family member that created the account for you, and after she asked several times if you could contact them to get the login information, you said that it wasn't possible. Therefore, the only solution is to create a new account. As you've mentioned in your text, it is not possible to create 2 accounts with the same email. If she had tried that, an error message would have appeared on screen saying that an account with that email already existed. If that didn't happen, it's because that wasn't the email from your original account. About the receptor, all of our exchange items are new and never used, although they don't come in a box. None of them are used. And lastly, about the camera images, we ask that you check the connection on the camera. Please make sure the camera is within reach of your Wi-Fi network. That wasn't how that conversation went. About the camera, it's in the same place it's always been, and about the account, if the conversation wasn't with you, then don't talk about something you know nothing about. She didn't ask me several times. You only need to ask me something once and I'll answer. I didn't know about the account being deleted, otherwise I would have tried all my emails. Me reading all that stupidity had me rolling my eyes. Cue me calling over my co-workers so we could have a laugh at it. She then talked more about the issues with her camera, and we asked her to bring it to the store. Lo and behold, it was a connection issue, like I said. She insisted we still send the camera to repair, so we didn't argue with her and sent it. By now it was always my manager dealing with her, so I was with a customer of my own, but I was eavesdropping because I'm nosy, and my customer, unprovoked, said, "You like to complain, don't you?" And she then started arguing with him. My manager put a stop to it, and when I was done with him, I went back to listening to her talking with my manager. From what I understood, Karen and my customer had already argued at the grocery store earlier that day. Again, she called the store every day, trying the repair office as well. We had to block her since she was non-stop calling. That's fair. After maybe a week and a half, she decided to personally come to the store to ask if the camera was repaired. My manager was so fed up with her at that point, he didn't even try to be nice. He told her no, and that if she kept calling, he would refuse to serve her. She explained that she was really anxious about not having the camera, as she was concerned about her safety. That is 100% understandable. Her rude behavior, however, is not. and she broke down crying in front of my manager and I. He wasn't very nice about it, but with her behaviour towards us, it's hard to be. My manager ended up refunding her for all the cameras she bought, so she would stop crying, go somewhere else, and stop bothering us. Madre Dios. And that brings us to the end of today's fast food and retail video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories in this video. And before you go, if you'd please hit the like button and consider supporting the channel. There's a link to my Patreon page in the description. There's also a link there to my merchandise store on Teespring. If you support me on Patreon, you get early access to the videos on Monday. $1 or a little more if you like a month makes that happen. Okay, now I think that's all the business for today, so let's move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, this one comes from Newcomb via the Discord. It's, what's your favourite type of bread? I'm not sure if I used that one or not, but I don't have it hearted, so we'll say I haven't. My favourite is tiger bread, and if I can't get that in a pinch, a salt and pepper bloomer will do. A bloomer is just basically it's a loaf of bread that's not baked in a tin. They kind of shape it, and they put it in, boom, and whatever they coat it with for the tiger bread, it makes it look like this kind of orangey cracked surface. It's very, very yummy, and I do buy it quite frequently, and I'm making myself hungry by thinking about it, but let me know your answer in a comment below. And before we go, let's take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. And this one comes from Fast Food and Retail 232, and it was, do you enjoy tea? And I was talking about the gossip kind of tea. Today's answer comes from Raven Fox 926. Depends on whose tea's being spilled, but I prefer family gossip best. Gotta be honest with you, personally I'm not a fan of family gossip, but I do like a little bit of celebrity gossip. I came across, I can't remember the exact location of it now, but I came across there was a document that had been compiled on celebrities, I'm guessing from people working in restaurants, from clothing stores, delis, just all over Hollywood, about what celebrities were really liked, or what celebrities were really like. It was a very extensive list. And what shocked me is some of the things, or quite a lot of the things on that, came to be true in the decades that followed. So it makes me wonder about the things that sound so outlandish that they didn't happen. Some of them were actually